All right, welcome to my PowerPoint presentation. My name is Valerie Dawson. We are going to be going through the data that I got from my last two papers while we discuss this one particular client. Well, first off, I'd like to talk about where I actually have my field placement. It's at Partners Family Medicine Practice and Recovery Center. It's locally owned and operated since 2020 by Laura and Kevin Maupin. They're a power team couple. Laura is an NP and Kevin Maupin is our medical director. He's a doctor, and so they have this more or less unique clinic in Pace where you can see that their mission statement here is, "We are here for you," and that's to provide quality healthcare and treatment that will improve the lives of people in a proactive, respectful, and compassionate manner with effectable, measurable outcomes. I really enjoyed my field placement here because I can see that they definitely do care about their individual patients, especially in their veterans. We are constantly getting referrals from the VA. It's really neat. I hope to someday work with veterans primarily. Hopefully, I don't know what the future holds for me, but that's just something that holds dear to my heart, are veterans. And yeah, so the served population is anybody in need of a primary care provider, those seeking counseling and or medication for behavioral health, and if you are prescribed psychiatric meds, you have to see behavioral health. That's just part of what they do. They don't really let you slide to be treated and not medicinally and not be treated holistically. So I think that's a great modality of just making sure that the patient is covered every which way. And they have a large MAT addiction recovery program, which is desperately needed in this area. And then they do offer free Narcan upon request. So today we're going to talk about my client. She was actually my very second client that I ever had, which I definitely felt like the water was rising and in that room, and I was going to drown, because I go from, learning, being in school all these years, and I get someone that really has problems. She is diagnosed with bipolar 1, OCD, and severe anxiety disorder. And what brought her to us is that she had a suicide attempt in February 2025. She went to 12 Oaks, and she got basically kicked out, because she said it was unfairly. I did reach out to 12 Oaks to see if they had any other places that she might go, because she really wanted to stick with an inpatient situation. She felt like her family and herself needed time to heal from her attempted suicide. She is a mother, wife, and she was a teacher up until her suicide attempt. She has since then medically retired. She's working on getting disability, and I got to help with that paperwork. That was the first time I ever had to fill out paperwork for somebody. Of course, my supervisor also signed it, but I've just never had, so it's been a very big learning experience with this particular client on all levels. So her target problems are with bipolar. She has very intense mania and very intense depression. And so she has erratic sleep, financial strain, which she's described it into tens and tens of thousands of dollars of credit card debt. She has delusional goals, where she says that she's just so inspired by herself. And she said that she has ideas that where she should be giving TED Talks. Like she should just be out there motivating the world because she just has such good ideas. These things above create interpersonal conflict between her and her husband. She has all grown children, so it's just her and her husband. She has 3 grown children, and they are all very concerned for her. But so this erratic sleep, erratic behavior, the financial strain really affects her marriage greatly. And then her depression. Her depression is obviously the scary one. I know mania has its issues too, but the depression with the low energy, low self-esteem, sadness, feeling overwhelmed, and suicidal ideation was, more concerning for me because it was in her depression phase that she felt that she tried to commit suicide. And that just is scary to me that I had somebody's lives in my hand. And as much of an influence as I did have, it just felt like a lot of responsibility, but I was open to it and willing for it. And it was an amazing learning experience. So goals and objectives for this client is to establish a daily routine, improve overall functioning, and minimize the impact of mood episodes, because when she was spinning up or spinning down, she was going recklessly, and she admitted that she needed things that would give her day structure, that would make her accountable every single day. So we multimodal therapy is what I'm going to explain real quick, because that's what we did for her. With bipolar 1, it's really complex, and typically you do need multiple interventions. And that multimodal therapy refers to the use of more than one kind of medication or therapy to manage imposing issues. So she was on Vraylar, which she was put on by her primary care before she came to see us. And so I saw her for a couple of weeks before we actually implemented the intervention that I wrote these papers on. And that's an atypical antipsychotic medication used for the treatment of schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. She definitely felt like it was better. She was on a lot of medicines before when she was at 12 Oaks, and she just felt like it was just all too much. She didn't enjoy lithium, which is a very common one for bipolar, but so she wanted to try something that was new age, as she put it. And we've been counseled. She had been counseled, and we continue to counsel her with CBT, cognitive behavior therapy. And so that was not the new intervention that we're going to try. So our intervention, going back to her teaching days, which she really loved, definitely loved the structure of being a mom. She said that a lot of the issues that she had, she's always been bipolar, obviously, but she never really felt like it got out of control until all of her children were raised and gone, and she just didn't have enough to do, enough to keep her going, to keep her like on a schedule, on a routine. There was no cupcakes to bake, there was no sports to go to, and that just made her tail spin, because she really identifies as a mom, and she really misses having that daily interaction, and she doesn't have any grandkids nearby, so she can't kind of use those good energies for her grandkids. So we are implementing daily task charts that are going to give her day structure, give her healthy habits rather, and create some hobbies. So that way she, on her down days, she can hopefully get some good hormones pumping in her brain when they're getting depleted. Maybe we can help her with that. So the purpose is to establish routine, which reduces her spending and overthinking. She'll meet goals, which improve self-esteem, and establish self-care, which stabilizes moods. Because if your cup is empty, we're always seeking to fill that cup, and not always in the most healthy ways. So her task will be implement and maintain a sleep regime, which she said waking up between 3 and 4 is what her body wants to do, but we're trying to get it so she can sleep till 6. Both her and her husband are not working, and he sleeps till 8 or 9, and her waking up at 3 to 4 is causing him to not sleep as well, which is just not good in a marriage. So eating is also hard during mania because you're just go, 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 and so she's got to eat. We're going to try to make that goal of eating 2 healthy meals a day, not pushing for the 3 meals, because sometimes a meal gets skipped, lunch or breakfast or dinner, just your life isn't always structured enough to have the 3 meal situation. So this one was hers, was get 1 hour outside with exercise, which I loved that idea. Get her some sun, get her some blood pumping, and then 1 hour to be creative. She has a host of things that she's always wanted to do. So I encouraged her to make like a corner in her living room where she wanted to learn how to do the guitar, knit, crochet, cross stitch, puzzles, things like that, create, get her brain working towards something positive. So she's going to be 1 hour to be creative, and then connect outside of the home, because with her husband, he's been kind of a mixed bag. He wants his wife to get better, but he also seems to limit her in a lot of ways, a lot of trust and marital issues, but she's not leaving the man, so we have to work with what we've got. So she can call, phone a friend. She can reach out to her children, call their grandkids, just to give her something to look forward to every day. This is a simple subject test design. It's the AB type, which is a 2-phase single case design consisting of a pre-intervention baseline phase followed by an intervention phase. We'll be basing the success of the intervention off the results of the PHQ-9, the G87, and the PROMIS test scores, which those measure depression, anxiety, and your sleep. And I could not emphasize to her enough how important sleep was to her, because she really fought me on that 3 to 4 o'clock wake up time. And so just trying to get her a good sleep hygiene, get her a good, that was the challenge with this particular client for sure. Everything else she was easy breezy on, but that one was the true test. All right, these are her. So I got to see her 4 sessions before we got into adding this. I was seeing her once or twice a week. And so the first couple of sessions were within the first 3 weeks of seeing her. And her PROMIS, G87, and PHQ-9s were pretty high. Almost hitting to the top of what they could be in her at the height of the highest scores you can get on those tests. But they did go down with the meds. You can see that they didn't start out quite as high as they were. The PROMIS went from being like a 32 to being under like 29, and then the PHQ-9 was about a 28 down to like an 18, and then the G87 was about 21 going down to about a 17. This is a chart showing how she did completing her charts over 6 weeks. So we had 5 tasks, 5 tasks for 7 days. So the max that she could do was 35. So you can see that first week she did 30, and then the second week she really dropped the ball a bit, and she went down to 15, and then she got higher, went back up to 30 the very next week, and then moved up to completing all her tasks week 5 and 6. So that was definitely productive, very proactive of her. We were very proud to see those results. So when I compared how her test scores went. They weren't as good as I thought they might have been, what I was hoping they'd be. So you can see that we started out with like the 29 and the 17-ish, the 29 for the Promise, and like the 17 for the PHQ-9 and the G87. And then we did get lower. We got lower, and I like to think that with more practice and more integration of maybe even increasing the task list, that we would continue to just have more and more success. Anyhow, that was promising. She definitely enjoyed what she was doing towards once it came more of a routine for her. Let's see. The results are the client's depression, anxiety, and sleep all improved when she was consistent with the more she executed the duties of her task charts. When the majority of the charts were not finished, her test results were affected as in that second week. This potentially shows the implementation of the task charts can be effective in the management of bipolar symptoms. This is just maybe not for everybody, but this helped this particular person with her particular personality. Let's see. And these are my references that I used throughout the different papers. And this information was all brought to you by those 2 different papers. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you for listening, and I hope you all have a lovely evening. Thank you very much.